Hello and welcome to a new series. Today you find me in Kakadu National Park at the top end of the Northern Territory. Kakadu National Park is Australia's second largest national park, coming in at just under 20,000 square kilometres, and we're going to be exploring this area for the next 3 or 4 days before heading off to some extremely remote areas. We're spending a total of 3 weeks up here, so stay tuned and join us as we explore Kakadu National Park. Welcome to one of my most ambitious projects. This trip will see us travelling 13,000 kilometres across Australia to some of the most remote and amazing places. Kakadu National Park is located at the very northern tip of the Northern Territory. It takes us about 4 hours to drive from Darwin to the Ranger's Hut at Jabiru. From there we will buy our access passes and continue on. It is late afternoon and we are now heading to the very eastern edge of the park to view some rock art. Well, we're just going for a walk to the Ubir Rock Art site. I was last here 7 years ago, and I remember walking on this very track, and this thing just pounced out from the bush, skidded across the path in surprise, and then pounced off back into the bush. It wasn't a wallaby, it was something similar to a wallaby. I think it had a shorter tail and fatter legs or something. Some kind of weird little furry critter, but I think it happened somewhere around here, this section here. This is a really peaceful and tranquil spot. Here's some rock art coming up right now. The rock art at Ubir tells a story about the Aboriginal people and their culture. Some of the paintings at this site date back to about 5,000 years. They were mostly painted in red ochre and animal blood, and despite being faded, you can still make out a lot of the detail. The paintings often serve as lessons. This one is about a fisherman whose fish was stolen by thieves. He followed them to a cave and waited until they had eaten his fish, and that night blocked off the entrance to the cave with a big rock. The next morning, none of them came out. Because they had stolen, they had paid the price. So the thing I like about the rock art is sometimes we can guess what it's all about and sometimes we can't. And that's the whole reason for attending a tour where they can talk about the rock art. The daily life of Aboriginal people is guided by traditional laws. As children, Aboriginal people are taught to respect these laws and the system of punishment which enforces them. This art reminds people of a story about a young girl who broke traditional food taboos by eating barramundi at the wrong time of her life. She was punished too severely, and a battle between clans followed, killing many people. The rock art shows the battle in progress, with spears being thrown and headdresses being worn. Just behind the rock art site is a truly magnificent sight. This is a place people flock to just before sunset. isn't this amazing? I was last here 7 years ago, and I remember standing up on this very rock looking over this plain that stretches out in front of me. There's some wetlands over there, and there's a four-wheel drive track just down there, a pair of tracks leading off into the distance. And I was thinking, how amazing would it be to be able to just drive on there and drive through this amazing area? Well, as it turns out, that is Arnhem Land, and you can only get in there with a permit. Now, it just so happens that I have obtained a permit, and so in a few days' time, we are actually going to be driving out into Arnhem Land, exploring that area. So I really, really can't wait for that. But for the moment, we're going to do what everybody else has come here to do, and that is enjoy the setting sun and the beautiful colours and the amazing scenery. What an amazing place this is. The most amazing thing about this area is the colour of the rocks as the sun is setting. That's what everyone here is waiting for. They're all waiting for the sunset, and the change in colour on the landscape and on the rocks, on the vegetation, is simply spectacular. Well, folks, this section of the video is brought to you by Apple iPhone because my camera is running out of battery and I've got nothing else left, so I'm just using my phone to film this. Hopefully it comes out okay. We're just going to go have a look at some more rock art. So this entire wall is rock art. The whole thing is plastered with rock art. It's quite amazing. What a beautiful area this is. It's about 20 minutes before sunset and everything is turning an amazing shade of gold. It is absolutely beautiful. The light is spectacular. And when the sound of tourists dies down, it is peaceful. Beautiful and peaceful. I think the trick to enjoying these places is to find a quiet spot, come just before sunset and soak up nature, soak up the environment, soak up the sounds, and just be at one with the place. It's absolutely beautiful. So that is Ubira rock art. Very spectacular. A lot of rock art to see. A spectacular scenery. And we got to catch a glimpse of Arnhem Land, which is where we're heading in a few days' time. So now we're heading back to our campsite. We're staying at a place called Yellow River Campground, which is one of the, I think it's one of the few or the only paid campsite that you can stay at. There's a few free campgrounds, but they are completely filled up. I couldn't book there. So I thought I would book a spot at a commercial campground just so that we don't risk the chance of not finding anywhere to camp.
Yeah.
So that's where we're heading next. Kakadu National Park is a huge park. The distances between places are sometimes very large. We are now travelling the 94 kilometres from Ubir Artside back to the Yellow Water Campground. The sunsets in Kakadu are absolutely phenomenal.
Here it comes.
Well, good morning everyone. We got into our campground in the dark. We're staying at Yellow Water Campground, and when we got into camp, it's quite a popular campground. There's a lot of people there. Not terribly cramped together, but there's a lot of people, and there's no signage around the campground to direct you to where your particular area is. I didn't see any numbers for the allocated camping spots, and on they do give you a map, a little mud map of the campsite, and we were in unpowered camping area called White Apple camping area. And do you think we could find it? Not really. We just drove around, and the reality didn't look much like the mud map, and so we got lost pretty quickly. And we spoke to somebody, one of the other campers, and they just said, "Oh, nobody's camping in their correct spots. Just find the spot, and you'll be right." Which is what we did. We had quite a nice evening. No mosquitoes, which is very unusual. We were expecting lots of mozzies, not much. We encountered a possum, heard lots of bird noises, and the night was actually quite good. It wasn't that cold at all. It was nice. This morning is now 8 o'clock. We're leaving fairly early, and we're just basically driving back down the Arnhem Highway through the park, and we're going to start looking at some of the billabongs and various other sites along the way. Yeah, there's a limited amount of space. It's like Tetris, or, you know.
Yeah, popular.
We're just going to go have a look at a lookout called Mirai Lookout. It says it's a 2 kilometre round trip walk, grade medium to difficult. We'll see how far we get. It's a beautiful morning, sun is shining, quite warm. The sun is quite low in the sky, and everything is beautiful and golden, really lovely. Palm trees everywhere. So you can see all around me evidence of fire. Now, rather than bushfire, this is simply the practice of burning the undergrowth regularly to avoid big bushfires. And the Aboriginal people have done this for thousands of years. It also helps them with hunting, because it drives out all the little critters, and then the bush regrows. With the exception of a few steeper bits, the track is only a moderate difficulty climb. Well, we're not quite at the top yet, but already it is a spectacular view. You can see through the trees that in the distance is the surrounding land, so we're quite high up. So, onwards and upwards. Whew. Well, we've just arrived at the top of this lookout. I don't know how the hell they got all this steel up here, but there's a viewing platform. Let's go have a look. So this sign here talks about how this land was originally settled by the first people. So this is the ancestors of the Aboriginal people that live here today, the very first ones that moved in here. And it says that the very first lady, she travelled here from the island to the northeast, sending out spirit children to start up clans, giving them languages and teaching them how to hunt and gather food. So what island is there to the northeast from here? PNG, Papua New Guinea. And when you look at the indigenous people of Papua New Guinea and compare their features with the indigenous people of Australia, they have a resemblance. They've got a wide, broad, flat nose, very, very similar facial features. So I wouldn't be surprised if more than 65,000 years ago they migrated from PNG across to Australia on an ice sheet when there was an ice age, and then were trapped here when the ice melted. That's a perfectly plausible theory, I think. So I have just driven about 5,200 kilometers, and even here the sound of traffic does not escape me. If you've seen some of my other videos, you may occasionally hear me make comments about how beautiful a place might be, but it's unfortunate that it's full of tourists doing the touristy things, and that's perfectly fine, but I guess what I'm seeking is to experience nature without all the trappings of city life. I want to come out and find a nice peaceful spot and just sit and contemplate and feel at one with the place, and that's what I'm seeking, I suppose. So then I hear you think, why am I going to places that are full of tourists? Well, because the places are worth seeing and the places are worth showing to you, and I won't know if I can get my moment of solitude in the bush or not until I come here. So that's a little bit of background, I guess, of what I am seeking in these places. And moments of solitude are absolutely achievable. You just need to find a quiet spot in the bush and let it all sink in. Right now there's no traffic and no sound of tourists. I can hear birds and crickets and all sorts of little critters. And now I can hear some traffic in the distance. They're just little moments, but those little moments are precious. Well, that's enough walking around. Time for a bit of fall driving. Okay, so we've just turned off the main road. We're going to have a look at Djarrajin Billabong and Sandy Billabong. This is the track leading down to Djarrajin Billabong. There's big signs saying danger, crocs. So we'll keep a good lookout for crocs. So this is Jarrajin Billabong, and it is absolutely beautiful, peaceful and serene. Apart from the plane up ahead that you can hear taking tourists for joy flights. But once that goes, it'll be nice and peaceful again. Yeah, really lovely spot. Alrighty, we're heading down to Sandy Billabong. This is a four-wheel drive only track, and the corrugations have started. Oh, how I missed the corrugations. Whew. I'm trying to make sure the camera doesn't hit a tree. So for those people that are wondering what kind of camera equipment I'm using, well, the camera that you are looking at now is an Insta360 camera. It is a really cool camera. It can film in 360 degrees of view, and it takes a little bit of creativity to get it to look good. But I can get some amazing shots out of it. So it is a really, really great addition to my filmmaking kit. So what I might do later on in this series is go through some of the camera equipment that I use. I think some people might find that particularly interesting. And I've got some pretty good gear, so I'm more than happy to talk about that. So far this track is pretty easy. My squeaky suspension is back. Now, I washed a car the other day and gave it a good blast of lithium grease, and that hasn't yet taken full effect, so I might give it another blast of lithium a little bit later on, and hopefully we can get rid of that squeak, at least for the rest of the trip. Okay, now we're getting into some soft sand. Well, this is far more enjoyable than driving along the sealed road. I was really hoping that we could do some four-wheel driving in Kakadu National Park. And this is pretty easy four-wheel driving, but it's still much nicer than driving along the sealed road. There's a more buffalo poo on the track. I would love to see a buffalo.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
As long as he's not charging towards us, it's all good.
Well, we saw a dead one. How was it?
on the way into the national park, I think it was just outside the national park, there was some roadkill, a buffalo on its side, legs sticking up in the air. Quite bloated. I won't show you the dash cam footage. Well, I think I'm going to get my wish here to find a bit of solitude in the bush. With any luck, there's nobody else coming after us for a little while at least, and it's far away from the traffic noise of the main highway. Lovely. Well, we've just arrived at some wetlands, and I reckon this is where the buffalo live. I would love to see some buffalo. I think old Squeaky FJ is scaring away any potential buffalo sightings. A beautiful spot. So we've just encountered a sign saying crocodile safety, danger, 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 crocodiles. But the sign that's below it is even more interesting. It says caution, buffalo in area. Buffalo are dangerous, do not approach. And Susie wants to see a buffalo more than a croc, because we've seen crocs before but haven't seen wild buffalo. So that'd be really cool to see. We've seen their poop, and that's not the first time that we've seen an animal's poop but not the animal. We actually went hunting for cassowary up in the near the Daintree, and we didn't see a cassowary, but we saw the cassowary's poop. And I know how to identify cassowary poop because it has small purple berries in it, and that's what its favourite food is. Although those berries are really poisonous, if you eat it you will go blind, you will lose your sight, but for them it's okay.
Well, you can't even touch it apparently.
Yeah, you can't even touch it, because if you rub your eyes you lose your sight. But I've seen cassowary poop, no cassowary. Let's see if we can find a rhino, not a rhino, a buffalo. There's a billabong, that's gorgeous. Let's go have a look. There's a picnic table. We can have our lunch here.
Yeah, where we sit quietly waiting for buffalo.
Exactly,
Yay!
exactly. Oh, there's a sign, big snappy snappy, croc croc, just don't come near me. So just a word on the camera equipment that I'm using. The camera that you're seeing me now on is a Sony Alpha 7 IV. This is a fairly new to the market camera. The autofocus on this camera is absolutely astonishing. You see me out of focus, and as soon as I move that away, I am now in focus, so it is fantastic. The best autofocus I've seen on a camera anywhere. I've paired that with a Sony G Master f2.8 16 to 35mm lens, and that is a beautiful, beautiful lens. The picture quality that it gives is fantastic. The other camera is a Panasonic Lumix GH5S with a Canon 70 to 200mm lens, and it does amazing quality video. Let me show you. This is what you see wildlife photographers and sports reporters use. It is a beautiful lens, gives amazing quality and a massive amount of zoom. I've paired that with a Rode shotgun mic, and this is a broadcast quality mic, so it is a sensational mic. Very good. And I've got a selection of GoPros that I use for just run and gun, just walking about day to day. I have a Insta360 camera, and that's it films in 360 degrees, so that's used for special shots that I can't otherwise get. And of course I have a Mavic Pro drone and a bunch of other cameras. So I always travel with 7 or 8 different cameras. So it all contributes, they all have their special use cases. So one of the things I had difficulty with when I started out doing this whole filmmaking thing is good audio. And I've tried wearing lav mics and have a wireless mic system, and that works, but the danger of that is that you can accidentally mute it, which sometimes I've done. I've lost entire days worth of footage because I accidentally muted the mic on the transmitter and not realised. And so I've lost a whole day's worth of footage. The way that I film now is every single camera has an external mic on it. So every GoPro, every camera, everything I use has an external mic. What, Susie, you've seen? Every camera has an external mic on there, and that way I can always just pick up whatever camera is at hand and know that I'm going to get good audio. So that's just a little bit about my cameras. Now, Susie has seen something amazing, so I'm going to go and look at that. So I haven't seen any buffaloes yet. We've seen plenty of evidence of buffalo. That one there, that one there. That looks like hoof marks to me. So I would say that this is a waterhole that is frequented by buffalo. I don't know where they are at the moment. Maybe they're all asleep in the shade somewhere, but it would be really awesome to see them. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more before they're released on YouTube, you can go to patreon.com/4xadventures and sign up for a membership. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next video.